Hello, everybody. Clayton Wood here again from San Francisco, and we are live. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and today you've been enjoying a couple of different sessions by some really great SEOs, handpicked by Neil and invited by myself and Vasil. We are excited to bring you this next session by Glenn Alsop. Glenn is the founder of an agency called Viper Chill, has a really interesting background doing some exciting SEO projects for companies like Land Rover. He's worked internationally in places like South Africa and Singapore. Just before we went live here, we were in the green room talking about some of his SEO experiences. So if you've got different questions about link building, about international types of targeted campaigns for driving organic search, then this is the place to ask them. I'll just remind everybody the best place to get your questions answered is right down below this live stream. Glenn's joining us for about 30 minutes, and so he's just gonna jump directly into his deck. Glenn, welcome. How are you today?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I've got the screen focused on your deck, and it looks like everybody's in the audience. So I'll let you take it away. Go ahead.
Okay, hey guys. I'm like I said, we only have about 30 minutes, so I'm just gonna jump straight into it. So what we're gonna be talking about today is what's working right now for building links. So more specifically, what's working, who it's working for, and how to do the same. How to make link building easy and possible for you, no matter the size of your business. So when I was originally invited to talk at this summit, thank you, Neil, for that, and Clayton and Vasil, I was asked to talk about building links through something I call pins. Now, pins is kind of a slightly gray hat area. It's different to PBNs. It's kind of building your own team, and that's something I will get to in the midway point of this presentation. When I was asked to talk about this topic, I said my original idea when I was asked for this summit is that I would like to talk about how I build and rank one-page websites in Google. So I do this on a weekly basis, literally one-page websites with a couple of words of content, a couple of hundred words of content. I get them on the first page of Google, and I do this very consistently. So that was what I was planning to talk about. And then very recently, literally in the last couple of weeks, I wrote a SEO-focused article for a very popular blogger, and it went pretty viral, and it just got a much better reception than I thought it would have had. So my original title for this presentation was going to be links, links, links. So basically 3 parts of SEO that I wanted to talk about. So this presentation, again, we only have 30 minutes, so forgive me for lack of intro and so on. I just want to dive right in and give you a ton of value. So I'm going to be talking about pins. This is my way of building links and working with a team. I'm going to be talking primarily at the start about how to write content that earns links, and then how I rank one-page websites. So more specifically, here is what's coming up. How link building has dramatically changed. I see, are you coming in now? Is my audio gone out? No? Okay. How link building has dramatically changed and will continue to change going forward. The 8 types of articles that are still generating thousands of links naturally with recent examples. So even today, people that are blogging on relatively, not unknown, but not super popular websites and still getting tons and tons of links. And the most important link building angle, I think that everyone with a website should be following, yet almost nobody is doing this. And when I wrote about this on my blog a year ago. I got 1,100 comments. This is a really, really hot topic that people are interested in. And the final point is how I test link building tactics very quickly and easily. And I'm going to share with you some of my actual websites, one-page websites that I rank in Google with 1 or 2 backlinks. So just kind of my normal warning when I do any kind of online presentation, please do close any distractions. I'm going to pack a ton of actionable value into these 30 minutes. And I know at some points you're going to think, oh, why didn't I write that down? So please, if you do have other things going on, stay focused. I promise I will not let you down with this presentation. So very, very, very quickly, literally about 30, 45 seconds, my story, just so you can see if I I actually know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I'm going to get into that now. So at 18 years old, I'm originally from Newcastle in England. I left my accent back in Newcastle. I moved to Cape Town in South Africa to generate website traffic for brands like Hewlett-Packard, Nissan, and Bacardi. A few years later, I was asked by Wiley to write the book Viral Marketing for Dummies. My writing style and for dummies didn't really work out, even though they paid me in advance and stuff like that. So I didn't end up doing that, but I was very flattered to be on it, to be asked for that. And today my work is featured in places I honestly never thought I would be talking about. So the New York Times bestseller, The Impact Equation by Chris Bergen and Julian Smith, they compare me to Seth Godin in our different writing styles, which was totally flattering and undeserving for me because Seth is like a really big hero of mine. And I've been featured in places like The Guardian and Forbes talking about SEO. So my days these days are focused on SEO agencies that I run and my blog gaps.com, where I share a ton of SEO insights and online case studies. So my journey, I'm just highlighting the best parts here. Thankfully, I am limited on time, but my aim was consistent over these past 11 years. I've spent the past 11 years focused on driving traffic to websites, primarily via SEO. I started learning SEO back in 2006. I was literally 16 years old, and I had this community for DJs, creatively named My DJ Space at the height of MySpace popularity. And I ranked this website for terms like DJ equipment and DJ forums. And after that, I was hooked, totally hooked on how Google works and how to rank websites. But unlike today, I never recall any moments of people trying to game Google with links. So there was definitely people trying to game Google, but they were doing them with on-site SEO tactics. So they were doing things like keyword stuffing, writing the keyword as many times as they could in a page that they wanted to rank for, ranking hundreds of subdomains. There was literally a time in Google where you would search for something and all of the results, literally pages and pages, would be from the same website, just using a lot of different subdomains. There would be people creating doorway pages, so pages that Google can find, but a regular visitor wouldn't. And then even big SEO companies who were making millions of dollars at the time, hiding text for users. So you go to their website, you couldn't see anything, but Google bots and the Google bot was seeing it and ranking them for those terms. These days, although there are people still doing sneaky stuff on their websites, anything about Google penalties or anything kind of shady, quote unquote shady that you hear about are people doing sneaky things with links. So building private blog networks, I'm not going to talk about them in huge detail, but I am a fan of them. But it's if you hear about bad things in Google, it often covers things like private blog networks, people hacking websites to get links, people using automated link building software, and using, now we have to use the disavow tool to show, hey, these links are not relevant to me. They're not links I built. Please don't kind of count them towards my rankings. So to say that link building doesn't have the best reputation anymore would be an understatement. And we can see here from this Google Trends graph, you can see link building has gone down in search popularity since 2012. And what it's been replaced with, what people are trying to think of as the kind of, again, quote unquote, white hat SEO is content marketing, writing content that earns links naturally, and that's what people want to do for their clients. So even though link building doesn't have the best reputation, there's just one problem. Links are still incredibly important, yet people aren't linking out as much as before. So links are still an absolutely huge part of Google's algorithm, but people aren't linking out even to great content. Or at least that seems to be the case. So as with anything related to SEO, when I have a concern, when I'm not sure about it, I look at the data or I test something for myself. So very recently, in 2017, just a month or two ago, I decided to look at the most linked to articles on dozens of websites to see if the publish date had any correlation to links built. Were articles that were being written in the past actually getting more links? Are people really linking out less today than they were in the past? So the first website I looked at was Seth Godin's blog, again, a marketing hero of mine. And the reason I focused on Seth first is because his site hasn't really changed. He still produces short articles, very often, and he doesn't personally handle his social media, so that hasn't really changed for him. So here are the most linked to articles by year published from Seth's blog. So we can see 2008, his most popular article in 2008 had 909 links from other websites. So on the left there, that's the number of referring domains. That's how many unique websites are linking to Seth. And now you can see down in 2013, 14, 15, 16, he's still getting links to the most popular articles, but just far less than ever before. Another website, Art of Manliness, absolutely huge website on men's lifestyle stuff and grooming and beards and whatever it may be. 2008, they got 575 different websites to link to their most popular article, yet in 2016, just 107. Smart Passive Income, the Make Money Online blog, 2008, tons of sites linking to it. 2015, 2016, just 32 links to the most linked to article that they published in the entire year. Now, there was a lot more examples, but you kind of get the idea. The trend is going down dramatically. But thankfully, not all of the websites I checked showed huge drops. So here's one example, 4-Hour Workweek. I'm sure you all know Tim Ferriss. His most linked to articles by year are pretty steady. If you take out 2007, you got a pretty flat line that actually may even be going up a little bit. Tim is still doing very well at getting a lot of people linking to his content. So while the trend over all the websites I looked at seems to be pretty miserable and going down, there are some websites which are still attracting a lot of links to their content. Now, I know you could argue that the older articles are, well, older. So if it was written in 2008, it has a lot more time to attract links, and that's why the links would be higher. So I accept that is one counter argument. But you could also argue that there are far more people online these days, far more people you can reach with your content who could actually link. You know, there's a lot more bloggers, there's a lot more people with forums and so on. So there's kind of two sides to that story. So I'm not going to make any scientific claims. It looks like it's going down, but it is what it is. It's not exact. But there was one breakthrough that I made during this research. I found 8 types of articles which were by far the most effective at earning links. People who put these kind of articles on their websites got far more links than anyone else. So I only have 30 minutes, so I'm going to kind of rush through these so I can get to everything. But I hope, you know, if you've got a pen and paper ready, this is the time where you want to be taking notes. So type 1 of 8 was the survey or the study. So what you want to do, if you want to get links to content, if you want to earn links, survey your audience or conduct a study and share your findings. Anytime people want to back up a point, they want to say, oh, the American debt, you know, America's getting in more debt, or people are losing more weight by following this case study. Anytime they want to back up a point, they will link to the data that you have created. So just imagine one of the toughest industries online to get links to has to be around personal finance and especially credit cards. How do you get links naturally for credit cards? Well, you create a survey. So this website, NerdWallet, they surveyed their audience on their personal debt, how much, you know, they were paying in interest and so on, and just look at the amount of links that they got. So this chart is actually a little bit deceptive. They actually did it in 2016 also, and they redirected the page. So it's really 1,700 different websites linking to them over 2 years rather than just in the last month of January. But still, if you want to get links to one of the most difficult industries online, credit cards, survey and study your audience. And another example is Mars.com. They do this every year, either their own staff or a guest writer on the website. They put together a survey, the state of link building. They ask people, what are you doing to build links? What are you spending money on when it comes to link building? And they put together the results and just get tons of links and social shares every single time. So I'm going to have to speed up a little bit because I know I'm getting close to the halfway mark now. Type 2 is the interview. Interview someone who's at the top of your industry, but is typically hard to reach or shy about doing interviews.
Hey, Glenn, you can take a couple of more minutes if you need it. Do your thing. Everybody's really interested in this content, so don't worry about the time for now, okay?
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, so interview someone, again, who's at the top of your industry. So not just anyone who anyone can interview that you, oh, I've seen an interview with this guy 20 times already. It must be someone who's typically hard to reach, or they are shy about doing interviews. It will take time and persistence to get this person. If they are hard to reach, then it's not just going to be an email and they say yes. But if you put in the work, the payoff will most certainly be worth it. So I mentioned Tim Ferriss earlier in the 4-Hour Workweek. The most popular, the most linked to article on his website in 2016 was interviewing Seth Godin. Now, Seth is not particularly shy about doing interviews. He certainly doesn't do them with everyone, but he has done quite a lot. But Tim asked him about questions that he wouldn't normally be asked. So his daily routine, the things he obsesses about, his principles, what he cares about, and so on, that you may have not heard about in an interview with Seth before. And another example, I talked about Smart Passive Income earlier. They had an interview with a guy, Nathan Chan, how he built a 6-figure digital magazine. Nathan credits 100% of his success to building a 6-figure online business to being able to interview Richard Branson back in 2014. He said it took about 2 months and 8 emails to Richard's assistant to get Richard to say yes to do an interview. And when he got Richard on board, everyone just thought his magazine had so much more credibility. And how easy is it for him to go and try and interview other people now saying, hey, well, I already got Richard Branson. Would you guys be interested? So if you can interview someone that's hard to reach, people will talk about it. So type number 3 is what I call the twist post. I'm sure you've already heard of the list post. So 5 ways to do this and 11 quick tips for that. They are everywhere. You will find these guides on every website, but they suck. I try to put this nicely saying they lack substance, but we all know that they are absolutely awful. However, if you put a twist on the classic list post and focus on making them incredibly valuable, the list clickbait still works. So people write these articles because people click on those headlines. So you can still have that kind of clickbait nature, but you can also make it more valuable and rack up the links. So one example here is from The Art of Manliness. It is a bit of an older article, but it still shows the point I'm trying to make. 100 must-read books, The Man's Essential Library. More than 4,500 backlinks from over 600 websites. So it's not just 10 books, it's not just 20 books, it's 100 books that men must read. And in the personal finance niche, another one here from end of 2015, just over a year and 4 months or so, how to save money. It's not 21 tips, it's not 11 tips, 100 great tips to get you started. So they're using the list angle, but they're providing a ton of value, and it just makes it so much more likely to get links. Type number 4, you're probably familiar with already, and that's the evergreen guide. Create something that people can link back to and reference for years to come. Choose one aspect of your industry, preferably where you can offer a tutorial or something similar, and put in far more effort than a typical blog post. So again, Pat's website here, Pat's complete step-by-step podcasting tutorial. He wrote it back in 2012, but in the last 30 days, this guide picked up over 100 new backlinks. Pat can always keep talking about this. Anytime he mentions podcasting, he can link back to this. It already ranks in Google, so picks up more links naturally. That way, it's something that just doesn't die. Even in 2020, as long as podcasting is still around, people will be linking to this guide. And one of my own, I wrote about WordPress SEO back in 2011. This article, more than 500 comments on my own website, is getting links every single week, just because it's something that's still relevant. It's not news-based. It's something people are always going to want to know how to optimize WordPress. Type 5 is something I call the core. The core attempts to appeal to the reader's core emotions to drive home a point which may just surprise them. If you have a passionate viewpoint that likely isn't so popular, or it's kind of clever in its delivery, you can get great results with this. So back when I was 7 years ago, I was 20 years old, back in 2010, I wrote this article for a website called Dumb Little Man. Sadly, they've redesigned their website, so the view count of 2,000 isn't accurate anymore. This article received more than 150,000 views. It's not a good article. I wrote it myself. I wasn't really a good writer back then. But the headline, it really made people think, okay, what is harsh about the world and how can that actually help me? It appealed to something emotionally inside people that made them click it, read it, share it, and link to it. So another one here, paleo diet is absolutely huge right now. Everyone's talking about the paleo diet. But how would a headline that said, I went paleo and now I hate everything, how would that appeal to you? How would that stand out? And look at that, more than 500 comments. The Everywhereist, this is the wife of Rand Fishkin, owner of Moz, founder of Moz.com. She wrote about this. She got hundreds and hundreds of links to this article. And it's not just articles written in 2014, 2015. This was written just a couple of months ago in 2017. More than 16,000 likes on Medium. FU Startup World. I actually put the stars in there. They weren't there in the original article. But how would that stand out? If you're in startups and you're in business and you're in marketing, you see a headline like that, it hits something inside of you. You want to read the article. Type number 6. We just got 2 more, and then I will get into the more shady, quote unquote shady, I'm doing air quotes here with my fingers, stuff that I know some of you want to know about. So how did one blogger pick up 309 links to a blog post about light bulbs? He compared different options. How did Search Engine Land in 2017 attract 900 links for an article about Google Home? They compared it to Amazon Echo. People absolutely love comparisons because they can make smarter purchasing decisions or feel better about having already picked the winner. So if Google Home won this experiment and someone bought it, they would share it with their friend who bought an Amazon Echo, for example. So here was the light bulb one, literally picked up 309 links. It's such a difficult industry to get links for. Who's going to care about an article on light bulbs? Well, the personal finance niche will, when you compare them LED versus CFL and incandescent lights, about saving money. It's just about comparing something in your industry, tools, products, services, whatever it is, so people can make better buying decisions or feel better for having already picked the winner. Type number 7 is the journey. Start a public journey, doing something your readers would love to do themselves, or at least be interested in learning more about the kind of behind the scenes. So one that I loved, and this changed my life about a year ago, 12 lessons of waking up at 4:30 a.m. for 21 days. Someone who had their own business, didn't have to wake up early. They shared what it was like to wake up really early for 21 days, and people loved that journey. Another one in the business and marketing world, a guy created 12 startups in 12 months. So he just kept building them every month, made something new. One of them is worth like millions of dollars right now. And so that was in 2014. Even now in 2017, he's still getting a lot of links to the same article. It resonates with people. They like following the journey. And my own one I did in the last month or so, I built a startup in 30 days on gaps.com. You can see there my little Medium copycat heart button. I got 1,500 likes on that. The most popular article I have written on that website. I shared a journey relevant to the topic of my website. And last but not least is number 8, and that is what I call the item hype formula. So this is more of a great headline to use rather than about the content that you write. But I have found countless examples of this formula working very, very well. The formula is basically that you write about an item, you add a colon, and then you hype up what you're about to write about. Very, very simple, like so. Open source blogging. Feel free to steal my content. Receive more than 1,000 backlinks. So the item, open source blogging, the hype, the thing that you wouldn't expect that pushes it a little bit higher, steal my content. Who's really going to say that on a blog? You know, really hyping it up. Another one from Tim Ferriss, geek to freak. That's the item, the hype. How I gained 34 pounds of muscle, more than 6,000 backlinks. Or even a boring topic like Vibram 5 fingers, like shoes. That's the item and the hype, the alternative to being barefoot. More than 600 backlinks. So think about ways that you can use this in your own business, in your own niche. Now that's 8 proven content formulas you can start using. I hope you took notes. If not, you'll have to purchase Neil's Summit package to watch this again. But you can start using them today for yourself or your clients to start earning more credibility and interest. Now, let's cover something that I think every single webmaster should be using, but pretty much nobody is, and that is what I call a pin. And a pin, to me, is something that I refer to as a private influencer network. Pins are something that every webmaster should be part of, yet more than likely you aren't. Now, I wrote about this topic around a year ago on my blog Viperchill. I received more than 1,100 comments. It was a very, very hot topic, and I referred to it as the future of private link building. Now, I do, if you get 1,100 comments, there are going to be some negative replies, and some people said, I'm just trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to give a new name to something that already exists. I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel, but I will admit there are lots of ways to call what I'm about to say. But the concept is simply this. You need to forge relationships with people who are already active. It's very, very key in link building to help you with your ventures, and then you support each other, meaning you help them with their link building too. So I do have a graphic for this, but this next slide, I'm just warning you, it's going to be very, very overwhelming at first glance. But the concept to keep in mind is this. You promote other people in your industry where you can, people who aren't trying to rank for the same keywords and key phrases, and other people in your pins, so a group of 3 or 4 people who are in the same industry and they already active and trying to promote their websites. When you promote them, they promote you as well. So just a warning, the next slide is very overwhelming, but just give me a second. So this crazy graph right here, this crazy graphic, just focus on the yellow boxes right now. That is 4 people who are in your pin, in your little private group, who all have their own websites they want to promote. And we'll ignore the brown boxes for now. Let's just say the gray boxes. When you write an article where you would have linked back to yourself, so you write it for another website, you would have linked back to yourself, you also link to the other people in your circle. So you link to guy number 2 and number 4, and then when guy number 2 and 4, or woman, guy or girl, when they write an article to promote their own website, they also link back to something relevant on your website. So this is it's a little bit shady, it's a little bit sneaky, but there's no real way of detecting this. There's no real way of detecting, hey, someone had a private group or they just wanted to link to something awesome. So on a weekly basis, I find pins, incredible pins, making a ton of cash in the most popular niches online, credit cards, hosting, affiliate, rankings, review sites, and so on, you would never be aware of unless you dug deep into their backlinks. And the reason people are part of pins and the reason they work so well is because you get 3 to 4 times more backlinks for doing the exact same work. So as long as you mention 3 or 4 people, anytime you have a link building opportunity, when those other people do the same, you're getting a lot more links that you'd never normally have. So here's an example, just a better graphic than the one I showed you earlier. Now, I will put a disclaimer, I have no idea if this guy is actually associated with anyone mentioned here. Please don't, there's no reason to think they are. I'm just showing how it could look like in theory. I don't want to out what anyone is doing. So this is a guest post by Alexander. He wrote for entrepreneur.com, and his own business is weekdone.com. So you can see 4 times there. I made the logo a bit bigger so you can see it. He linked to Weekdone, his own business, 4 times. However, 3 times in the article, he also linked to other businesses. I missed the one on the right there. He linked to a business called Zed Lian and Maverick. I'll assume that's how they pronounce. So he's promoting other people. And just as it turns out, Maverick are also promoting Weekdone. So people, anytime you get an opportunity to write on a website like this, there's always opportunities to kind of link to your friends, and then they will support you back in return. So just another example of how well pins work. Brian Clark and Darren Rouse, so copy blogger and pro blogger. Pete Cashmore, Michael Arrington. Pete is the founder of Mashable. Mike is the founder of TechCrunch. And John Chow and Jeremy Shoemaker. The thing that they have in common, building their huge websites, was that they promoted each other at every single opportunity. Throughout the years of growing together and falling together, as John Chow and Shoemaker are not really popular these days, they linked and mentioned each other at every single opportunity. So here on ProBlogger has mentioned Copyblogger 186 times on his website, whereas Copyblogger has mentioned ProBlogger 387 times on his website. 2 of the biggest bloggers online grew together by promoting each other. Now, my best advice, if you want to be involved in a pin yourself, is to not try and convince other people to become a linker. Don't say to someone, hey, go writing guest posts for these websites and then mention me. It doesn't work. They're going to give up after a few weeks. It's not in their mindset. You need to find people already running blogs, already writing articles, already submitting guest posts, and reach out to them and start a relationship that way. Now, I know Clayton said I have an extra couple minutes, but I will try and get to this last part pretty quickly. So I'm hitting my limit here. So for the final part of this presentation, I want to talk about a great way to test all kinds of link building tactics. So you can test PBNs, social signals, free content websites, niche competitiveness. If you want to know if PBNs still work, do this, and then you will know. So I'm going to reveal a few of my exact websites which I rank in Google. Let's just say on Google, not one Google, often with just 1 or 2 backlinks, and they are only one-page websites. Now, I do have a little bit of a disclaimer, so forgive me for this. Literally 3-4 days ago, my domain names were suspended, and the reason is I was using a lot of .co.uk domain names. I was using fake address details because you cannot hide your domain registration info on a .co.uk domain. I am from the UK, but I didn't want to reveal my home address to the world. So they were suspended, but I promised you a week ago they were all ranking, and they have been for months and months. So this was the article I wrote for my website, ranking one-page websites in Google for fun and profit. The entire article was about a simple strategy. Rank websites in Google for a service location term, so roof repair Manchester, UK, or conservatory building New York, or whatever it is, and then rent out that website or sell leads to real customers. The thing that surprised people the most wasn't that I was ranking one-page websites, but that I was able to do so with just 1 or 2 backlinks. So here's an example of a website I ranked in google.co.uk, chauffeur driver. It's a misspelling of the word chauffeur. That is the entire website. I haven't cut off anything in this screenshot. There's literally 4 sentences on this entire website. It gets 8,000 searches a month in the UK because people don't know how to spell chauffeur. It's not an easy word to spell. And there I was on the bottom of page 2 in Google and making fun of Google a little bit there. We love misspellings here at chauffeur driver, and hope Google learns to love them too. Another one, apartments near me. You can see me near the bottom there in Google. Apartmentsnearme.co.uk. This is a term that's getting searched for up to 300,000 times a month. It's becoming hugely popular in Google. And again, that was just a one-page website with 1 to 2 backlinks. That's one of the ones that got suspended. That's why I just had that disclaimer there, but I will get that fixed in the next week or so. Another one, a website I have just to show they get traffic, antiquenearme.com, a website of mine, still getting traffic in 2017. All of the antique-related search terms that I'm ranking for, and the website just looked like this. Very, very simple, very plain, 500 to 600 words of content. And if you look at the backlinks to this website, again, it's getting all of this traffic. It's getting more than 100 visitors a day now. 2 backlinks. 2 backlinks to the entire website. And one of them came from this website, Webio, web.io. And there's my link, the second one there. You know, this website is just full of spam, full of terrible links, full of nothing. There's no value to this, but it was still enough to help my website rank. Now, the reason I highlighted these specific websites and more on my article was because they're all hosted on the same server. They're all on the same very cheap hosting company, and they were all created at the same time. In other words, 10 one-page websites can be hosted on the same IP address and have no issues with ranking in Google. That is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big discovery. So that means you can test any niche or any link tactic, PBNs, whatever it may be, for just $17. So it's $10 for a domain name, $20 for Namecheap hosting. That's up to 10 websites for 1 year, $5 to $7 for content. I get that from iWriter.com. It's not the best, but it's good enough. So if you do this, these one-page websites, it's a great way to test theories with SEO, see what types of links work, i.e. do PBNs still help? Well, if you want to know, try building a couple of these websites, point some PBN links to them, and see what happens. And you can also test the difficulty of any niche. So sorry, I'm a bit over time there, But if I do have time for questions, feel free to ask. But if not, if I missed anything, you can email me, hq@viperchill.com, or of course Neil's Summit package as well for the replay.
Yeah, excellent, man. Great job. We've got, you were not looking in the chat that whole time, right?
No, not at all.
Everyone loves your session. Everybody's saying this is the best session of the day. So you've got a bunch of huge fans. We had to type who you were, your name, and your company a couple of times in there because everybody wanted to know how they could get in touch or follow you. Why don't we just start with that for everybody out there that wants to follow you? What should they do?
Yeah, so I used to write at Viperchill. That's where a lot of my examples were. But you will find me writing on gaps.com. Or again, if you missed anything, you can send me an email, hq@viperchill.com.
Okay, great. Let's start out with some questions.
Sweet.
We've got a bunch of questions down here. People are upvoting them. Ahmed wants to know, and this is the top question, is it a good idea to build links by buying from marketplaces like Fiverr or something like that?
Clayton, can I just ask real quick, what is best for you guys? If I give quick answers to get through a few, or?
Yeah, rapid fire stuff seems to work pretty good.
Okay, let's go for rapid fire. Absolutely not, unless you want diversity. So you have a lot of links with the same keyword or the same key phrase from the same kind of sources, and you just kind of want to mix it up to make it more natural, then I would go for Fiverr, or it's a website you're happy to burn, then do it. But for a legitimate website, for a client or something like that, no, don't use Fiverr.
Okay, great. Somebody wants to know, why did you switch from Viperchill to gaps.com?
I wanted to talk more about opportunities online. I had written a few articles about it on Viperchill, how you can, not just how to promote a website, but what ideas are out there. Are there still gaps in the market that people can actually build websites and succeed with? So I have a lot of fun finding all these hidden angles that other people aren't capitalizing on, especially with SEO. So that's why I moved to Gaps.
Absolutely, love it. Okay. Paul Eric is asking, if you're fairly new to technical SEO, what are the top 3 things to learn to get into the flow and start getting your head around it?
Yeah, so the most technical of niches, I think, is e-commerce sites. They're probably the most challenging. They have so many pages. They're on so many different CMSs. You've got issues with duplicate content, with a lot of products being the same and unique descriptions and so on. So I would research e-commerce SEO, because if you can figure that out technically, you can figure out any website. And a great tool to use is Screaming Frog. Screaming Frog, I think it's .co.uk. You can search 500 URLs on any website with the free version, and you will just learn so much about any website going through the tutorials for that.
Awesome, sounds good. Okay, and just to answer everybody in the chat there, yes, you can reach him at hq@viperchill.com, correct?
Yeah, VIPERCHILL.
Okay, great. Next question. Let's say you're completely new and starting a niche affiliate site. After you set it up, what are the next actions you take into consideration if you're on a budget?
Well, Randy, good question. It really depends if you did enough research before you set it up in the first place. So if you haven't already, you got to be going through who already ranks in that space. How are they already getting links? What kind of results is Google ranking? So are they ranking PDFs? Are they ranking videos? Are they ranking pages with thousands of words of content? So really, you just got to know what other people are doing, because Google has kind of different variables for every different industry. So just go and look at your competitors, what they are doing, and you will know what to focus on for your site going forward. If you're on a budget, you can do content yourself. You can do outreach yourself. You can research backlinks yourself. You don't have to pay for things. But again, Google differs for every single niche. So just go out there and every possible key phrase, see what they're prioritizing to rank.
Okay, great. Awesome. The next one is by Adil. He says, excuse me, hi to all. If I have a few websites operating in different industries, how can I do linking between them and ensure that it doesn't give Google the impression that I'm using PBNs? Any advice?
Well, as long as those websites aren't linking out to tons of sources, or they're very, very thin. I don't think Google would assume they're PBNs, you know, they're not drop domains or anything. If you want to link them between each other just for users, so users can go to your other websites, but you don't want to give credit, you can use the nofollow, the rel equals nofollow attribute. But honestly, if you look at websites like cosmopolitan.com, esquire.com, they all link to each other in the footer and they don't use nofollow, and they're all ranking very well. So really, unless you're doing anything shady, as long as it's not PBNs, then I don't think Google will have that impression.
That's very reassuring. Adrian is saying, what's one advanced question that comes to mind that you wish more people asked you about? And he says, you're an expert and many viewers might be beginners. Help us think outside of the box and reframe our thinking beyond something like the art of SEO basics that we're probably going to ask you. Any outside of the box questions that you wish people would ask?
Not that one. I think actually it's good you asked me that, because I think people always are trying to look for something extra, something someone is hiding from them. Like, oh, Glenn, he's not really saying what is working. He knows something else, but he wants people to do something different. I was kind of in that mindset for a few years where I think people were, you know, I thought people were holding something back and weren't really telling the truth. So it's not about what's more advanced, it's about what works. It just differs in every single niche. The most important thing you can always do, and this sounds cliche and it sounds like I'm just being generic and trying to avoid your question, but it's not how can I get 100 people to my website from Google. It's about how can I help 100 people once they're on my website. And if you kind of change your focus, it generally changes your results. So unfortunately, there's nothing so advanced. I guess I would say technical SEO and creating websites in multiple languages and stuff. I'm not an expert on this. It's very, very challenging, especially e-commerce SEO. But you know, if you're asking that question because you think someone's holding back something from you, they are not. It's all out there. You just got to take it and use it and apply it to the relevant industries.
Awesome. Such a great answer. Yes, and people in the chat are loving that answer. Sharonda asks, is it possible to have high-ranking pages without doing any link building?
Yeah, for sure. So if, for example, if Neil puts something on Neil Patel, he's going to do pretty well even without people linking to that exact page. So if you have some domain authority, or also freshness is very important. So how recently you've created something has a big impact on Google rankings these days. You don't see as many links from 2012 as you would from 2016. So yeah, it's definitely possible. But you want to have a website that people enjoy, they get value from, they're going to buy something from, and websites that offer that value are probably going to pick up some links. So you don't have to do any link building. If you wanted to do an experiment, I would write as much content as you can and see what happens. But for that content to have any weight and have any value and have any chance of ranking, I don't think there's no reason to not do link building. But yeah, it's certainly possible. For individual pages, it's possible.
Okay, cool. Deborah says, and we've talked about it a little bit, but we'd love to hear either dispelling this myth or confirming it. Aren't PBNs against Google's terms of service?
Absolutely, 1000%. But so is leaving a comment. If you leave a comment with the aim of hoping it will help your search engine rankings, so is buying an ad on a website if the ad isn't no-followed. So is donating to a company if you get an image link and they don't have no-followed links. It has to be Google's stance that they don't want people trying to game Google with links. It has to be in their kind of mantra that you don't want to do link building, just let everything happen naturally. Of course, that isn't always going to work, but from their point of view, that's what they want people to focus on, so they're not trying to game their system. But yes, PBNs are against it, but so are pretty much everything else you can do when it comes to link building. So it's just one of those things. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have other traffic sources, have other ways to make money. And if you are worried about any link building tactic, do what I said at the end of the presentation. Build some kind of 1-2 page websites. Try building links to them that you're not worried about if they rank or not. See what happens, and then you can do that for other websites of yours.
Yeah, that's great advice. Keep in mind, Google's got to index or put time and effort and money into indexing this whole web. So they certainly don't want it cluttered with a bunch of stuff that they don't think is valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
I know in a lot of cases it boils down to their resources and them not wanting to index a bunch of stuff that they don't feel is valuable. Okay, this is a good one, and I'm sure it applies to a lot of people. Sammy's asking, how do you speed up a website that uses a lot of images?
Yeah, that's a good question. I take the I typically don't build websites with too many pages. So I kind of take the slow route. So I open something in Photoshop and then save it as an optimized image, or I upload it to a site like tinyimg.io. That's tinyimg.io, and that's good also. But there are specific compressors online, specifically for PNG and GIF, GIF, however people say it, files. But the very, very simple way, if you have a ton of images on a WordPress site, is to use a plugin called Smushit, WPSMUSH, and that will take care of a lot of images for you. So if you don't have many, do it all manually on Photoshop or the various tools online. But if you have a lot, there are plugins for various CMSs that will help you.
Yeah, great. Okay, and I see people trying to explain to each other the difference between PBNs and PINs. So revisit that quickly for us.
Yeah, sorry. So PIN is just people that you work with. It's not necessarily building websites to link to yourself. It's like me, right? It's like me and Clayton each having our own website, and I talk about him and he talks about me. Whereas a PBN is something you create additional and another website, not just me talking about Clayton from my website, but creating another website which could talk about me and Clayton.
Yeah, it's great. Simon's asking, do you still find value in using expired domains as PBNs?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I get criticism for this because people think, oh, I'm so evil, I'm ruining the web. But so I don't always be open about it, but I still use them. I still think they have value, but I think eventually there's going to be a shift where they're not as valuable. But yeah, for now I still use them. I don't rely on them, but they are good to use. For just to caveat that I don't want people to use them on client websites. I would never use them for a client unless a client was very well aware of what I was doing. But for my own websites, and especially SEO experiments and trying to rank and rent websites, then I would definitely use them. But I'd only use them for clients if a client was aware of what I was doing and they were comfortable with that.
Lillian says PBNs and PINs sounds like a link party to her. Okay, a couple of more good questions that I think will round this out nicely. Dakota's asking, is having a few links on a very few trusted sites better than having a ton on less trusted websites? Classic question that SEOs are asking themselves a lot, right?
Yeah, I would definitely prefer that. Of course, there's variables, would those links all point to the homepage, or if I got more links, could they point to more pages on my website? So if they're all going to the same page, then I'd rather have few links on trusted websites. If I can move them around a bit, I'd probably have a lot more links on less valuable websites, but I could get links to all different pages on my site. So that does depend. But typically, I'd rather have better websites linking to me. Not only for the link, but because if it's a more trusted website, I can probably send traffic with those links as well. So it's not only about Google, it's people clicking from those websites too.
Got it. Okay, great. Listen, guys, we've got another session coming up. So these questions that are left over are going to have to go directly to hq@viperchill.com. It has been a pleasure listening to all of the insight that you've got for us today and reviewed. Glenn, thank you so much for spending the time.
Thank you.
And we'd love to have you back again and do this. And thanks to the audience for all of those great questions. Glenn, I'll sign off with you now and just say great to meet you, man.
Thank you, man. Have a good one. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. So that was Glenn Alsop, guys, from Viper Chill. I heard a lot of people say in the chat box that was the best session of the day. And if that's true, then I'm glad you all were on it. We've got a couple of more items that I want to review before we wrap up the day. First of all, Brian Dean is going to be presenting in a special never heard before pre-recorded session. I'm going to send all of the audience there in a couple of minutes. All you have to do when you get to that session is push play. Now, as an added bonus, that'll be the last official session of today. But as an added bonus, because Neil, myself, and Vasil really want to bring you a lot of content that's valuable, we are going to add 2 more bonus sessions that we didn't advertise on the website to the Crowdcast platform right now. Vasil's adding them. So once you're done with the Brian Dean session, you can go ahead and toggle to those extra sessions. And these are going to be from top industry SEOs. One of the sessions is called Good Content is Good SEO, which sounds like something that's right down the middle of Google's guidelines. But what a great session to cover all of those sort of gray area questions or topics that you might have from Glenn today. Second thing I want to say is tomorrow we will be coming back here live at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. So mark your calendar. We've got Tyler McConville, who is the CEO and co-founder of Nav34. His title is called Mind Control, Manipulating Crawlbots for Ultimate Success. So if you've been in Google Search Console, looked at how Google crawls your website, you may not know that you can actually manipulate the Google bot to throw success in your direction with organic search. So don't miss Tyler McConville's presentation tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Again, it's free, just like all of the sessions that we've got here today. If you are able to watch it live, we hope that everybody can make it. Set your watches and feel free to keep networking in the chat box. And when I sign off right now, just sit tight. I'm going to send you right over to the Brian Dean session, and I'll sign off and say goodbye to everybody. You'll see me back here at 10:30 tomorrow morning right here in California. Take care.